So you ever wonder what really makes an AI governance program, well, work? I'll tell you, it's not just about having some well-written policies filed away somewhere. It's all about the technical infrastructure, the plumbing, that gives those policies some actual teeth. All right, let's dive into the essential technical controls that turn AI governance from just paper into real-world practice.
And just a quick heads up before we really get going, everything we're talking about in this explainer comes straight from Chapter 5 of the tutorial on developing an AI governance program, which was put together by Virtualization Options LLC. We're going to cover a lot of ground pretty quickly here. First, we'll hit on why policies fail without the right tech. Then we'll look at the tools you need for development, monitoring, security, and explainability. And to wrap it all up, we'll lay out a practical roadmap you can actually use to get started. Okay, let's kick things off with the core issue. So many organizations put in the effort to create these beautiful, detailed AI governance policies, but then they just end up sitting on a digital shelf, collecting dust and not really having any impact. It's a huge question, right? And a lot of leaders are asking it. Why does this keep happening? They've invested the time, they've written the rules, but when it comes to execution, it just falls flat. And here's the simple, honest answer. Because without technical controls to actually enforce them, your policies are just suggestions. Relying on people to manually follow a checklist is slow, it's wide open to human error, and it just doesn't scale as you start deploying more and more AI. So how do we fix this whole mess? Well, the first big pillar is about embedding governance right into the AI development process from the get-go. This isn't about tacking on some bureaucracy at the end. It's about building responsibility in from the very first line of code. This really boils down to 3 essential types of tools. First, you've got to integrate governance checks right into your automated workflows, so they're not some optional steps someone can skip. Second, using standardized frameworks to systematically test for things like performance and bias. And third, and this is a big one, implementing really solid systems for documenting every single model's lifecycle. Let's just double-click on that last one for a second. Model documentation systems are absolutely crucial. We're not talking about some scribbled notes here. These are structured, searchable records. Think about it. Without this, you're flying blind. You risk failing audits, you won't be able to debug critical failures, and you're pretty much guaranteed to erode trust in your own systems. Now, once an AI model is built and out there in the world, the job isn't over. Actually, in many ways, it's just beginning. And that brings us to our second pillar. You have to be constantly watching how your AI is performing out in the wild. Good monitoring is so much more than just tracking accuracy. It means you're watching for any performance dips. You're on the lookout for emerging bias. You're monitoring the quality of the data coming in. And you're even analyzing how people are actually using the system. This is how you spot problems before they become catastrophes. Okay, pillar number 3 is all about security. And it's so important to get this. AI systems face unique threats. Your standard IT security playbook is a fine start, for sure, but it is not enough to protect you from AI-specific attacks. Real AI security needs layers of defense. You've got to secure the model itself from what are called adversarial attacks, where these tiny malicious inputs can completely fool the AI. You also have to secure the training data to prevent data poisoning, where bad data corrupts the model from the inside out. And of course, you still need to lock down the underlying infrastructure. Each layer needs its own special set of controls. All right, on to our fourth and final pillar, explainability. You've probably heard this before. A lot of powerful AI models are like black boxes. We know what data goes in and we know what answer comes out, but the logic in between, it's a total mystery. Explainability tools are what help us pry that box open. There are really 2 main ways to go about this. You can use what are called model-agnostic tools, things like LIME or SHAP, that basically poke and prod any model to figure out why it made a specific decision. Or you can choose to build inherently simple models from the start, like decision trees, where the logic is totally transparent. It really highlights a crucial trade-off. You often have to balance a model's raw power against how easy it is to understand. And here's what that actually looks like in the real world. Instead of just getting a yes or a no from the machine, you get a clear, plain English explanation. This is how you make these complex AI decisions make sense to customers, to regulators, and even to your own internal teams. Okay, so we've covered the 4 big pillars of technical governance. But how do you actually build all this stuff? The absolute key is to not try and boil the ocean.
You need a practical, phased plan. A realistic roadmap looks something like this. You spend the first 6 months or so just laying the foundation. Then you expand on those capabilities over the next year. After that, you're focused on maturing and optimizing your whole program. This is a multi-year journey, not some short-term project. So what can you do right now, like today? That foundation phase is all about getting the basics right. Start with a simple documentation system. Implement a straightforward risk assessment tool. Begin monitoring just your most high-risk systems, not everything, and integrate a few key governance checkpoints into your workflow. These 4 actions alone will give you immediate value and build momentum for everything else. And that brings us to the final question I want to leave you with. When you really look at your organization, is your technical infrastructure for AI built to enable responsible innovation from day one? Or is it an afterthought, a compliance checkbox you're scrambling to fill in later? Honestly, how you answer that question will likely define the entire success of your AI journey.